Hello folks, my name is Mark, this is Why I Hate the World. How you guys doing? So, I've been seeing a lot lately on the internet and elsewhere this sort of conspiracy theory being floated that a lot of the protesters that are out there right now protesting Donald Trump are paid agent provocateurs. Basically that they're plants being instigated by the left, right, in order to, screw up Donald Trump's presidency or whatever. And it's absolutely fucking ridiculous. So, anyway, if you've been, in another country or in a coma or living under a rock or, on a desert island or something, right, then you know that since the election, there have been thousands upon thousands of people in the streets in cities all over the country protesting the impending doom of the Donald Trump administration. The protests got really huge. At one point, there were 10,000 people in New York City, which is probably the largest, but they're happening in cities all over the country, Los Angeles, Portland, Philadelphia, Florida, places in everywhere, right? And people are a little scared, they're a little mad because at this point it looks like he's going to have lost the popular vote by 1 million people, and some people are estimating that might be up to 2 million, right? Eventually, which is like, that's a lot, I mean, secondly, and they're scared of what he might do because, he ran his campaign like an unhinged, crazy madman, and the thing is that he's flip-flopped on so many fucking things over the course of the campaign, is that nobody really knows what his positions are on pretty much everything. So people are rightfully scared. They think that the wrong person got in there. And but what we're hearing from right-wing media and, Fox News and InfoWars and Breitbart and that kind of thing, we're hearing this idiotic idea that, these people are being paid to be out there. You see that whenever you hear pundits talk about this, they say, oh, these are just, they're either kids who have nothing better to do and don't have jobs, or they're paid agents of what they say, the left, whatever the fuck the left is supposed to be, and then when you dig online and you go to places like, conservative boards and Reddit and 4chan and shit like that, the idea is that, it's George Soros or something. I've seen many different competing conspiracy theories. One of them saying that George Soros is paying people between $15 to $32 an hour to go protest, in which case, where do I sign up? Right? Because I'll go stand around with a sign for, $32 an hour. I ain't got no problem with that. Shit, I'm free this weekend. I've also seen, people saying that the Clinton Foundation is behind it, as if they have the kind of money it would take. So just, you got to think about these kind of things because, see, right-wingers and conspiracy nuts just believe shit like this without actually thinking it through, because if you actually think about it, it's complete and utter nonsense. So let's just take one protest, right? Let's take New York City. 10,000 people, all right? Each of them being paid $15 an hour, right? That's $150,000 an hour. Okay. Who has that kind of money? Who's going to put up that kind of money for days straight? So that's like what, how many hours are you out there? It's ridiculous. It comes into millions upon millions of dollars. For what? What's the output? What's your result of spending that much money? Like, you get to be on TV and they talk about it for like 8 minutes, and then they go on to talk about, Donald Trump and what fucking fucked up person he's getting for his next cabinet position. See, it's like, it's a lot of money for a very, very small result, and people like George Soros don't think like that, okay? He's a businessman. He thinks about getting results, all right? He's not going to spend that kind of money on shit that doesn't work, all right? And I've said this before, it's because protests don't actually do much to change things, okay? Not in this country. They don't. You know what protests do in this country? They may get the media paying attention to your agenda for, a few minutes, right? But they don't really do much to actually change policy. Okay, and everybody in Washington knows that. So, why? So that doesn't make any sense. Why would somebody like George Soros or the Clinton Foundation, right, who admittedly do have the kind of funds it would take to do something like this, why would they waste their money on that kind of thing? Number one. Number two, this would mean that, there would be thousands of people involved in your conspiracy, right? So, all of them. Like, if that's what you're saying all these people. How come no one has come forward yet to, like, expose this little scheme? Not one person out of all these people, out of all the thousands of people out there who are supposedly being paid to go disrupt the social order or whatever, right? To go fuck up Donald Trump's presidency, right? Not one person has come forward and said, you know what, I'm not comfortable with this. I feel guilty. I shouldn't be paid to do. No, that's bullshit, right? Somebody would, you can't even keep a secret about anything in this country, right? This is a country where people take pictures of their food and put it on the internet to share with complete strangers, all right? Somebody would have talked. Okay, then, don't tell me that not one whistleblower has come forward saying that all of these protests are like, baloney. It's bullshit. It doesn't make any sense. And here's the thing, like, whenever you ask people for proof of this kind of thing, when you say, okay, well, what proof do you have that these people are being paid by some shadowy figure, to go out and do this? No one ever has it, right? You'll see links to things like Craigslist ads, well, that's actually, one guy in Reddit sent me a link to a Craigslist ad, and it turned out to be for, like, some small group out of some college. I think it was like Pomona City College or something like that. Some really teeny tiny group that, got a grant from the Soros Foundation, right? And they were paying the bus fare for like 70 people to go to this thing. It's like, well, that doesn't count, right? That's not the same thing. That's, finding like a group who took money from one guy who then used it to go buy bus passes is not the same thing as paying 10,000 people to go out, right? Because you're trying to destabilize the nation. That doesn't fucking make any sense, right? They'll point to things like apparently there's a picture of a guy holding a sign, and on the sign it says text never Trump to 877-877. And when you look at that, that's like another small little foundation that got a grant from somebody, and it's like, that doesn't count either. Like, you look at that, like, that group, gets like a few $1,000s, right? That's not evidence of, these protests being like, organized by fucking George Soros. That's not good enough, okay? I'm talking about like actual physical evidence. I mean, if there were like, because if these people were being paid, number one, there would be payrolls, there would be like, there would be fucking expense accounts. There would be receipts, right? There'd be a paper trail leading back to whoever it was, right? There would most likely be emails or memos of some sort detailing the plans that these people have. Because you can't just like get on the phone and call up a bunch of people and be like, hey, go to this. No, you have to plan shit like this, okay? If this is your conspiracy there, if you really believe that, let's just say George Soros, because he seems to be the Bond villain for the far right. If you really believe that he's colluding with people to get thousands of people out into the streets, right, then, to purposely like fuck up this election, then you have to like think it through. You would need to have an organized plan that requires things like, PowerPoint presentations, right? It requires things like minutes from meetings, right? It means expense accounts, you got to buy lunch for people and shit like that, right? You have to, like, who's actually organizing it? Like, who's calling the people? Who's making the phone calls? Where's the funding coming from? There would be bank transfers. There'd be records of these kinds of things. There'd be phone records. There'd be emails going back and forth. There'd be, like, a paper trail, right? If these people are getting paid, there would be like, work orders and receipts and shit like that. All of this stuff would exist and would not be easy to camouflage or get rid of, right? Where is that? where's that evidence? Okay, does anybody out there have that kind of evidence, right? No, they don't. They have, the evidence they have is like, you know, shit they saw in a photo on Instagram. Okay. Or like, oh look, this video has a bus in it. That must mean that people are being bused to this protest. It's bullshit. Okay, and it's just like, it kind of shows how like on the right wing they're just, the discussion is just plagued by stupid bullshit like this, by conspiracy theories, by rumors, by just shit that is not true and can't be proven. And that's why you get crazy people that come from the right and go on, murder sprees and shit like that. Okay? That's why you get stuff like, guys going and shooting up Planned Parenthood because they think they're selling baby parts because they read it on a fucking blog somewhere. Whereas, when some guy just fucking didn't investigate shit and wrote a fucking rumor as truth, all right? That's why you get like, people like the wrong guys getting arrested for example, the Boston City bombing, because internet activists who don't, actually investigate shit take like, really, they make connections where there are none, and they take, things that would be laughed out of court as like gospel truth, and they fuck up people's lives, right? So just want to kind of, anybody out there who actually believes this shit, right? Just fucking like, just look at it, think about it logically, okay? And it's not just this, it's like any conspiracy theory out there, right? Think about it logically, think about what would actually have to be in order for your conspiracy theory to actually be true. And you'll find that, every single time the shit just doesn't add up, all right? It's because it's all rampant speculation. And it just seems to be, this kind of thing happens on the left too, but it seems to be endemic in right-wing circles, right? It's so bad that they're like, it's starting to shape policy now, right? Donald Trump is saying some of this shit, he's believing some of this crap. Oh yeah, there's going to be 450 million fucking refugees in the country. Where do you think this shit comes from? All right, is he just making it up? No, he's seeing it off the fucking internet where people speculate, and it's fucking embarrassing, folks. Absolutely embarrassing. Anyway, adios.